Greetings, brothers. Tonight is Blood Angels versus Necrons, 2000 points, and it's another abridged battle report. I've tried to do similar to what I did last time. You'll get snippets of gameplay, you'll have me talking over all the tactical decisions, and this is a very tough fought game, so I hope you enjoy. If we're just meeting, I'm John, the Blood Angels commander, and this channel is 100% all about the Blood Angels. Battle reports, tactics, the live army show every Sunday. If that's something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button. So we'll jump in and we'll look at both army lists, then we'll talk a little bit about the map, my thoughts behind picking the secondaries, then we'll go through the whole battle, and hopefully you'll get some value out of this.
Necron Warriors. Okay. 80 Necron Warriors. 2 Overlords. One's got the Orb of Eternity. This one's got the Veil of Darkness. Both got Void Scythes. Got the Command Barge. A Treyarch Stalker with twin Heavy Gauss Cannons and the Nightbringer.
Okay, so obviously Dante, who is the Warlord. Tech Marine, who's Master of the Forge. And then the Librarian Dreadnought, we're going to put Hero of the Chapter on Librarian Dreadnought, and he has Iron Resolve. 2 Infiltrator Squads, 8 Sanguinary Guard, 3 axes, 4 fists, a sword, 6 bolters, and 2 Infernal Pistols. Assault Intercessor Squad, Vanguard Veteran Squad, 2 Thunder Hammers, 2 Power Fists, 2 Chainswords, a Relic Blade, 5-man Death Company, 4 Chainswords, 1 Power Fist, and then the super heavy relic Falchion Tank Destroyer.
So the map was a Scouring, which is quite a difficult map, especially the way that the terrain was set up. You'll see in a second. All objectives are very much unprotected, very little cover on the objectives. So tough map for being a Blood Angel player. I picked all fronts. You guys know that I love all fronts. I think it's one that synergizes really well with Blood Angels. And also Oath of Moment, right? Again, really powerful secondary. Always there's fighting around the middle of the board, so doing this is one that I like a lot. And then finally, the Necron list had multiple characters in it, and I figured Assassinate was going to be possibly my best option. There wasn't much armor to kill, and normally I might take like banners or scramblers or something like that, but I figured I was going to be needing to use all my forces constantly to try and whittle down that massive squad of Necron warriors with their 5+ reanimation protocols. So this was my thoughts or decisions behind these secondaries. And then the Necron player, it was all fronts, and then he picked the mission-specific strategic scan, and he also had ancient machineries for the Necrons. So he's very much using these big blobs of troops to go from objective to objective and perform actions there, and then meanwhile hopefully shoot me off the table with those 12-inch 40-shot units of Necrons with a strength 5 -2. So that is very, very scary against my small 5-man troop choices that I normally use to hold objectives. So I really felt that the map wasn't an ideal map for my army against his, and we had 4 objectives with very little / no cover on them, and then just the one in the middle. So yeah, he's going to have 20 Necron warriors with those Gauss Reapers, which are Assault 2, Strength 5, -2. So each squad of 20 is going to get 40 shots at -2. So my troops are not going to survive generally very well against these at all. So I mean, in the deployment, I'm generally deploying a little bit back. You can see that blue dice in the top corner. That's where 24 inches would be. So I'm actually deploying super defensively here because he gets a pre-game move of 6. Then those Necron warriors could move 6. So if anything is within 12 inches of them, there's a very good chance that he will be deleting it. So in the deployment, I just deployed defensively. That was my strategy. And just kind of across the board. So what you're going to see is when it's my turn, we're going to flip the camera so you see from behind me like this, and then from his turn. Later in the game it might switch across. People also put feedback last time they wanted to see what turn it was and also the current score. So I've put that on as well. Now, I got the roll off and I won essentially to go first. And I think my strategy in this first turn was almost to sit and just edge up behind the cover, and shoot with the super heavy tank, right? Like, I didn't have any other strategy beyond that, and yeah, this was, like, it feels very wrong, especially like when you pick secondaries like all fronts to essentially sit in your own deployment zone and do nothing, but I really couldn't withstand the firepower that those units were going to push out, so I had to do something to deal with that. So you can see straight away with his pre-game move, he's got 20 Necron warriors on basically the two objectives that were just 6 inches out with his deployment zone, and he now has Necron warriors almost daisy-chained up to the middle. And for the strategic scan in this map, the 3 objectives he needed to strategic scan are top left, middle, and bottom right, looking at it as it was right now. And for his Necron objectives, he actually had the 2 top left and top right, so he was going to be able to score his secondaries fairly effectively if I didn't engage into those blobs of Necron units quickly. So I think what I decided to do was, like I said, give up some points early game and try and decide that I will dictate when the combat happens and when the charges happen. Because, like, if I don't get to do this, then, I mean, this game could be over very quickly, in that that's 160 minus 2 shots per turn he's able to dish out. So all that really ended up happening in this first turn was I killed 4 Necron warriors. I took, I think it was 11 wounds off his walker at the very back. You're going to see it up from his perspective in a second when the camera shifted. So that was basically like the volcano cannon on the tank. And I basically scored nothing in this first turn. So I will score 1 for not failing a morale test. And I had my infiltrators on the left flank edge ever so slightly forward. This way, hopefully he shouldn't be able to hit me. I think that we deployed the Death Company, the Sanguinary Guard, and Dante into reserve with a, I guess he isn't really screening any of his backfield, so he definitely felt like there's plenty of room for those guys to drop down. I mean, it wasn't really his tactic, more his tactic was the sheer number of Gauze Reapers that essentially, like, when you have to take 40 attacks against Marines with -2, even with Smokescreen and potentially Transhuman, you're going to have great difficulty. So then in his turn, I guess you'll see that he lost the 3 wounds, or he's got 3 wounds left, rather, on his walker. And essentially, because his units are already on those objectives, he pushed up the units in the middle to the center objective, and then he very much started to do his secondaries. So on the bottom right now, he is doing the mission one, which was sector scan. He also did sector scan in the middle objective, and then he did his Necron one, ancient machineries, in the bottom left objective. So there was nothing for him to shoot at, I guess, with all his guys, because I deployed so defensively, and he would have to come forward to start scoring those secondaries. So I figured that would at least give me the opportunity for the counterplay that I need. All these things could probably advance on top of where they are. If I'd been on those objectives, I think I would have been in a serious world of hurt at this point. I'm not sure what I could have really done to stand up against that. It's just the sheer weight of fire that you would have 40 shots from each squad of 20. So in this case, I guess I played very tactically, very, very defensively, let him score his 2 things. So essentially that will give him 9 points at the start of his next turn, or in his command phase. And then, yeah, for my movement now, it might have actually been better if I went second in this game, but I figured getting that 1 round of shooting from the super heavy tank, I'd really hoped that it would have destroyed his walker before before he got to shoot back. Unfortunately, not to be the case. But now Now we have to get on objectives, right? We probably can't afford to give up objectives 2 turns in a row. So I start thinking about taking this Librarian Dreadnought and the Assault Intercessors. So Librarian Dreadnought moves up, the Assault Intercessors advance to get on the objective. That's how far back we were. The Infiltrators on the left flank also advance to get on the objective and move into cover. So at least now I have Primaris Marines on both those objectives in cover. My Tech Marine actually had to end up healing some Pearls of the Warp off my Librarian Dreadnought, and the Librarian Dreadnought is using the shield on different units to essentially make them a little bit more survivable. And then the Vanguard Veterans jumped out from that cover position straight forward onto the middle objective with a view to charging into one of the squads of 20 Necron warriors. I didn't, however, realise that when you have 40 Gauze Reapers, you can still Overwatch fairly effectively. So the Overwatch actually killed one of my Vanguard Veterans before we made that charge. But at least now I was essentially in on 2 and contesting that middle one. I mean, all the Necron units are OBSEC, so I mean, I wasn't necessarily contesting it in terms of scoring primaries, but I was there, I was in combat, and I was causing problems. And the super heavy tank at this point was just killing Necron warriors. I did get line of sight on his walker again, and it had failed the shots to kill the walker again, so the walker survived 2 turns here against a volcano cannon, which it really shouldn't. So, and the heavy bolters and etc. were used to start thinning out various groups of Necron warriors. So, the Vanguard Vets did get into combat with these Necrons, and unfortunately they really didn't do much. I do feel that they are a bit weaker before we get the Savage Echoes. They don't have that many attacks, and yeah, I mean, like, a lot of Thunderhammers and Power Fists obviously means you're only really hitting on 4s. So, although we did kill a few of them, reanimation protocols kicked in. And, I mean, turn 2 for me, I guess, was also quite anticlimactical. The only good thing, I suppose, to say about turn 2 is that we are now on 2 objectives. So that is going to score us some points for primaries into turn 3. And what you didn't see in turn 2 is I dropped a unit of Death Company in the very back corner, up there next to my dice. And I mean, they're completely obscured in the ruins back there. You'll see them when the camera flips for Andrew's turn. And then the Dante and the Sanguinary Guard have yet to join the battle. I mean, I could have dropped them back there as well, but there really wasn't enough cover for them to be super safe. And yeah, I mean, I figured that they'd be quite exposed at this point if they drop down back there. So I need to get my units move up the battlefield one more turn, I think. Get him engaged, essentially, as the objective says, on all fronts. So attacking him from the front and attacking him from the behind. So as the camera switches, you can see the Death Company just peeking in that ruins in the very bottom left corner. The living metal on his walker put it back up to 4 health. And now you can see just how many Necron warriors we have to deal with here and why I guess I was so scared of it. I mean, bear in mind, they've had 2 turns of shooting and the super heavy tanks been peppering those Necron warriors with blast cannons, 8 of them and 9 heavy bolters. It's really unfortunate that the walker didn't survive. The walker is still alive. I mean, it just survived 2 rounds of shooting from the volcano cannon on 2s, which most things doesn't happen. I mean, sometimes it has a bad round of shooting, and I guess this game he had 2 bad rounds of shooting with the volcano cannon. So as he moves forward relentlessly, I guess, I think that is one of the names of one of their Necron abilities, right? He's moving forward relentlessly, and he actually falls back out of combat with the Vanguard veterans. That leaves them super exposed there in the middle, and they are about to get shot by, I don't know, maybe like 50 or 60 Gauze Reapers from 2 different groups. So sheer weight of fire is going to pretty much drop these Vanguard veterans, and this is what I was scared about. Meanwhile, I believe he performed another action, one of his strategic ones or his Necron one, whichever one he didn't do. He now needs to get the objective in the top left-hand corner, which I kind of have fortified. But At the end of his turn, because there was no charges or anything from him, you can see now the Vanguard Veteran unit has basically disappeared. When the camera flips back for me, you'll see that we have one Vanguard Veteran left, and he fortunately has a Thunderhammer. So, not totally useless, but, and I mean, I guess you will score me those points for being in the middle of the map, so that is something. But, the Vanguard Veteran unit, I guess, really distracted him for 2 turns. And I haven't lost any of my infiltrators, so we're still going to hold primaries deeper into the game, and that is going to be really important because the Necrons have pulled quite a bit ahead at this point. I believe the score is about 20 difference, and yeah, he was doing his ancient machineries again, so he's really going to be up on around 27 points, and I am going to be on 3. Right, so when we move into turn 3, I guess now this is my moment to shine. The Assault Intercessors are definitely going to be able to make a charge here. I feel like our Librarian Dreadnought is definitely going to be able to make a charge here. Our Infiltrators on the left flank, I think they're going to end up charging, and they're going to daisy chain back to the objective. I mean, I think at this point I could have probably brought those Infiltrators out of cover on the right-hand side, or at least have a couple of them move out of cover last turn, so that we could guarantee to get onto this next objective. Unfortunately, it is 3 inches up that ruin, so I moved down 3 and I moved forward 3, and I wasn't able to reach the objective. So this was kind of a misplay, but and I guess the guys could have been stringed so that there was some in cover for if those Necrons had advanced more aggressively. But I wasn't sure about that, and I felt like I was going to need to hold those objectives. So maybe slightly overcautious here. And then meanwhile, we decide to obviously bring in the Death Company from the backfield. They get their 12-inch move, bringing them almost right onto that top right objective, giving them a very easy 6-inch charge onto the backfield, where I think he's got a command barge and some Necron warriors. And then in that same building, we bring down Dante and the whole Sanguinary Guard. So again, they're going to need their 9-inch charge into the back of the Necron warriors, sort of in the middle of the board. They are kind of equidistant to that walker that was still kicking around back there, so potentially, if I wasn't feeling confident, we could go for the walker. And then my tank decided that it was time to move up. I mean, it was on full wounds, it hadn't been shot yet, so decided to move forward, keeping going with that unrelenting fire, I guess, every turn. I mean, if the enemy tend to not deal with a super heavy tank, then, I mean, over the course of the game, it will, even if it has a few bad rounds of shooting, which does happen, it will still kill a lot of units. So, super heavy tank got out of my deployment zone almost, and the idea was to make it take one of the objectives so that I could leave the infiltrators off that objective and have the super heavy tank hold the objective. And I mean, there's enough firing arcs here, and I guess there's enough on the board that firing solutions aren't really going to be too much of a problem. So yeah, into the charge phase then, and we got some critical charges to make this battle winnable.
Volcano Cannon, 4 last cannons, 9 heavy bolters.
Okay.
Volcano Cannon. 3 shots. I should have probably fired the last cannons first, and then I could have decided on the shots. So we'll go with it. 2s. All hit. 2s, 4s. Oh, 4s. 2 minus 5.
4 up then, bun. It's good.
Last cannons.
Just do it to troll them.
2 more.
2 4s. CP that one.
Oh. I think on 2s it's going to be on low profile, is it? I guess it's going to survive one more turn.
So now you got a point for your oath, so not killing a vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, I could charge it. Didn't want to have to charge it, but I could. Alright, the 4 heavy bolters on that score in front. 4 last cannons on that score in front.
For like 130 points, it's been a right deck.
Yeah, I mean, compared
What I'm
to
shouting is just
Brett's, so two 2 -3s on this squad.
I can't save.
Alright, there are 2 reanimations.
Is that all the shots finished into them?
Yes.
Reroll ones. Good.
Okay, and 9 heavy bolters into the squad over here. 3s to wound. 5 at -1.
5 ups. 1 saves. And then reanimation. 2 die.
These guys will charge these guys and the character. Come on.
8. It's in cover.
I guess. Oh, and Dante. Who's he in there? Oh, he'll try and charge a character. This guy.
Okay.
And actually, I might get away with a 7 there then.
Did
I
he
only
deep strike in though?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it was still 9 away from the model, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my shooting in this game, as you can see, is not going well. It is categorically a standard Blood Angel shooting phase, it feels like. We did make some critical charges in that our Assault Intercessors got into the middle, the Librarian Dreadnought got in on the right-hand flank, both to large groups of Necron warriors. He did Overwatch again against my Assault Intercessors, but fortunately we only took 1 wound on a single model. I guess that's the 6s of Overwatch not being as strong as his normal shooting. Infiltrators on the left-hand flank also got in against this large daisy-chained group of Necron warriors. So, I mean, at this point, 3 of the 20-man squads are tied up. Now, this is really what I wanted to do in that when 3 of them are tied up, that's basically, if it's 40 shots per squad, obviously the squads have taken some losses at this point, but, I'm cutting off 100 plus shots against me by making these 3 charges if he needs to fall back. The Death Company are also in on the backfield there against also Necron warriors in the command barge. There is that Power Fist, so hopefully they will make quick-ish work of the command barge. And I guess all the combats, including the Assault Intercessors here, went reasonably well. Like, we took out Necron warriors from all the groups. No group got wiped or anything, but definitely started to whittle them down. And I mean, Necrons are not good in close combat, so I guess this was the ideal solution. And then the second thing we did was we honoured the chapter with our Assault Intercessors.
Okay, I'm going to honour the chapter.
So that fight again?
These guys will fight again.
Okay. Is that the only fight again Strat Marines get?
Yeah, but I mean, we don't have a Blood Angels book, so
yeah.
I was kind of thinking that if they let those guys fight again, surely they're going to let the Death Company fight again.
Or can they not fight again then?
Not at the moment, no. Seems a bit mad considering they're supposed to be like frothing at their mouths, desperate to fight, right?
And Khorne Berserkers can do it 3 times.
So 3s, that's what we're looking for. And 3s again. Jeez. Too many dice. That's good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 more at -2.
6s.
We've got a few. That's undead. Oh, you can't reanimate them because they're dead, aren't they? Nice. I will consolidate into the cover.
So we're going to finally score some decent points, I guess, in this turn. We now hold the middle. We're going to get some points for Oath of the Moment. You can see that the Necron warriors on the right flank are looking very diminished. That daisy chain is not nearly as long as it was before, so that squad's looking diminished as well. We also have that nice 5-man squad of Assault Intercessors right in the middle of the board. The Sanguinary Guard and Dante are remaining in cover. I guess they're going to be a threat next turn. What you don't see
is on behind that cover in the very top left-hand corner there is one Vanguard veteran with a Thunderhammer. He was alive. He was the one guy that was alive from the squad in the middle at last turn. He jumped up there and then he advanced in behind the cover. So he's sitting up there in that very top-hand corner, and that is letting me score maximum points for engage on all fronts. So we are engaged on all fronts now. We also have good Oath of Moment points. We scored some primaries at the beginning of the turn. I guess we'll score some primaries at the beginning of our next turn if our Assault Intercessors survive as well. And we've kind of clawing our way back. It's kind of still a big deficit, but in terms of units lost or models lost, so I mean we've lost a couple of guys from the Death Company. We've lost 5 of 6 of our Vanguard veterans, and really that's it. We have had to play super defensively, and we have given away a lot of points, but I feel like we've whittled the Necrons down enough at this point to hopefully claw our way back into the game. So yeah, first turn that we actually managed to score essentially more than single digits of points, so this gets us up to 10 points, and now we move into Andrew's third turn. So, turn 3 for the Necrons then, and I guess this really is the turn where we're going to see the Nightbringer arrive. I mean, there isn't too many huge places that the Nightbringer can engage on, and I guess in a weird way, the fact that I'm so dense on the left-hand side of the board with Librarian Dreadnought, with those infiltrators above it, with the Death Company further down, with the Sanguinary Guard, it's kind of zoning most of the left-hand side of the board against him. And then over on the right-hand side, he could come down and try and kill the Super Heavy Tank. And in front of that, all he's got is infiltrators. So, I mean, the positions that this Nightbringer can come in are kind of limited. And I guess that's why I always talk about the strength of infiltrators. So, I mean, look at this. We know how dangerous and threatening the Nightbringer is. Look where he's brought him in on the board. At the very bottom, on the edge of his deployment zone. I mean, this was the position that he felt he could get the most work out of dealing with the Sanguinary Guard, because we know the Sanguinary Guard aren't that survivable, but we know that when they get into close combat, especially if they have the Chapter Master there for the +1 to their hits, and the rerolls from the Chapter Master, we know they're absolutely deadly. So he figured that he was going to try and deal with those, but I was actually happy enough for the Nightbringer to come down there and not be contesting any objectives or anything at all like that. So what we come to next is Andrew's shooting, and you can see on the left-hand side of the board, his big daisy chain of Necron warriors fell back. He used a resurrection orb on them and then propagated them all the way down into that objective, which essentially stops me from scoring primaries that I just said. Finally, I was going to score some primaries. Apparently, I'm not. His character teleported down into the bottom left-hand corner of the board. I guess the reasoning behind this was just that I have Assassinate, and I guess he felt like the character was better just leaving, so I wouldn't score the points because the character just felt very exposed. So the character teleports into this bottom left-hand corner. I mean, it will start scoring him some points for all fronts, but taking the character out of the battle like that is a little bit questionable. The Assault Intercessors in the middle of the board got peppered with that 20 shots of Gauss cannons, and I guess you see what they do there. We are left with one Assault Intercessor. The whole squad was basically destroyed, and the Stalker shot at the infiltrators that he fell back from on the left-hand side and killed 2 of them, so they're hurting a little bit. And his command barge has now flown out of combat down here to contest this other objective. Everything in the Necron army is OBSEC, so he is denying me primaries really, really hard in this game. So I am now going into basically turn 4, and I will have scored 5 points from primaries. So we're sort of counting on good scoring in the secondary to be anywhere within reason of this game.
Only 7, so yeah, he's going to go around. tuck his scythe knife against the Nightbringer. What's he going to need now?
8.
Yeah. Come on, point that. Ugh. The guy here then. So he gets 4 attacks. Hitting on 2s, but then it's -1, so we hit on 3s. With the Void Scythe.
Beautiful.
I'll CP one of them.
Can't, you already CP'd. What did you CP? No, you CP a charge, you're okay. Yeah, sorry. Brilliant. Burn your CP, Andrew.
Wow. Oh, I never took it off for the charge actually, so.
Okay.
Good one.
I guess my Vanguard will hit you back.
That's pretty tragic.
4s to hit. 3 hits. Strength 8, toughness.
5.
Right, so 2s to wound. 3 at -3.
What's he got?
Thunderhammer.
4 up in Van. Oh,
9
God's
damage.
sake. He's dead. Wow. That
3 points!
that didn't quite go to plan.
Yes!
Oh. Hold on. You can spend a CP to use Resurrection Protocols.
On himself.
Yeah. So on a 4 up, so that's my last CP. On a 4 up, he comes back.
How many wounds?
D3.
Oh yeah, you did this last game. Well, he came back last game, 50-50 chance, I guess. So by the blood, brothers, are we made? And look at that one lone Vanguard veteran slaughtering his character there. That was very tasty. And the Nightbringer, you know, he's coming in. I already said how ineffective I think he was going to be in this position, and the Nightbringer does only move 9, and if he advances he cannot use his Catan powers, so I'm basically going to run away from him with my Sanguinary Guard here. I mean, I need objectives, right? Like, I have a lot of points still to score. Fortunately, at this point, I've pretty much wiped out everything on the left-hand side of the board. He is still controlling that objective because of the obsec that the Necrons have, but I feel like in my turn I should be able to mop up any of those remaining Necron warriors on the left-hand side of the board. The infiltrators could probably mop up that command barge. I may even shoot it again with the super heavy tank just to get rid of it. It's not protected in any way, shape or form. But, so what Andrew ends up scoring there is he does get his 3 from his Allfronts. The command barge and that character that teleport gave him that. He did finish his Ancient Machineries, and he does have 20 points for primaries so far in this game. So, an interesting game for sure so far, and I mean, he still has a commanding lead, 35 versus 13, as we jump into the 4th turn of Blood Angels. So I go up to 16 because I did still have that one unit of Assault Intercessors, the one guy remaining in the middle of the board, fortunately, giving me the 2 points, and we didn't fail any morale test. So, my turn in turn 4 was an interesting turn, in that we're definitely going to... I felt like we were definitely going to be able to clear up everything on the left-hand side of the board. The Death Company should, and the Librarian Dreadnought. I mean, the Librarian Dreadnought, I love him in combat. He gets so many attacks, and yeah, I mean, like, I know his ballistic skill is now 3s, but I still think he's an absolute monster. So, I felt like the left-hand side of the board here was going to be fine. The right-hand side was going to be a little bit problematic in that at the moment I just have 3 infiltrators over there, and obviously he's contesting that objective because of it. So, I mean, needs must sometimes. This, you know, I talk a lot about how this super heavy tank will delete stuff. It doesn't always have to delete hard targets. Like, we can just delete a squad of Necron warriors, and this is where I think you know, sometimes target priority needs to go out the window, and just, like, I needed to get primary objectives. The only way I was getting back in this game is with more primaries. So you can see there, the super heavy tank basically rolls right onto that top right hand objective. It's going to unload everything it can.
And then it's going to charge, because I actually played it incorrectly. I only had 6 attacks, but it does get Angels of Death, which means it has Shock Assault, so it would actually get 7 attacks on the charge. So we had 1 less attack than we should have had. It doesn't get the attachment abilities, but it does get Angels of Death. So the Sanguinary Guard jumped there towards the middle of the map into cover in case they fail their charge for a second turn in a row. I thought that the cover would help against another group of 20 Necron warriors. You know how deadly they can be shooting at a squad. And my one lone Vanguard veteran jumps out. He feels like he can finish off this walker for once and for all. And Dante is there just above the walker's top left-hand leg as well. And Dante will be either finishing that walker or jumping over to kill the Necrons on that bottom right objective. So now really the shooting happens, and I also move my infiltrators off that top right objective and basically put them into the middle, because he has a big group of OBSEC units there. If I don't deal with them, I'd rather just make sure that I'm holding the middle. So we felt the one assault intercessor left there wasn't going to do the work. And then this is after the shooting phase. So basically we did all the shooting that we could do. Death Company pistols, the Meltagun off our Librarian Dreadnought. The infiltrators had some pop shots. And that one squad up near the super heavy tank is greatly depleted now. You can see that the daisy chain is pretty much gone. He just has the ones that were left on the objective. So maybe we could have stayed over there, but I felt like shoring up the middle was the right choice. So you can see what I talk about the Nightbringer, how far away he is now. He's going to be little or no threat, considering this is going into turn 4. He's maybe going to get 1 round of combat, and it's not even going to be near an objective. So the Sanguinary Guard made their charge over those Necron warriors on the right. Dante killed the walker with his pistol, and then made the charge over there as well. You can see the mortal wounds on Dante from killing the walker. We always get mortal wounds on Dante. This is why I much prefer having a chapter master with some sort of feel no pain. The one Vanguard vet, he did his duty and he died honourably from the explosion, no doubt. He actually didn't re-engage with the Librarian Dreadnought with that group of Necron warriors. I guess he was hoping that they would survive, but in doing so, it meant that my Librarian Dreadnought wasn't in combat anymore, so he was able to leave and charge that command barge. The infiltrators up there also charge the command barge. The super heavy tank decides to charge the last Necron warriors over on that objective as well. So all these Necron warriors are completely wrapped. Pretty much the only unit that he doesn't have in close combat at this point is the Nightbringer, and he just wasn't able to bring him in a very useful position. He did kill a couple of Sanguinary Guard, but I don't know if you noticed in the previous turn, the Sanguinary Guard he killed, I took them from the closest models to him, which basically made him have a longer charge. Like, maybe if I hadn't killed the models next to his deployment zone, he would have been able to get that charge into my Sanguinary Guard.
Okay, so we're fishing for 5s. Well, we get 3. So it'll be Crushing Tracks, 2 to wound, 2 at -2.
6. Oh wait, is it not still? It will still get the Assault Doctrine though.
Well, that's
So -3.
okay.
It doesn't get your Blood Angels 1 though, I think.
Okay, that's a bit weird, but sure.
Yeah. That came
So
up.
2 die, or did you roll your 5 choices?
Not yet. 1.
No, they've lost 11, so let's just remember that, I guess. Then over here, Sanguinary Guard, in the charge, it's 3 attacks per model, and there's 6 of them. So red dice will be the axes, and then we get 1 extra for charging and 1 extra for Savage Echoes, and then Power Fists, it'll be the same 5, 10, 15. Okay, so Power Fists hitting on 4s. No, Power Fists hitting on 3s because we're next to Dante. Axes hitting on 2s. We are re-rolling 1s. We should be re-rolling everything. Just declare it, so just do it properly. Alright, so these need re-rolled. So that 2 would be misses. And that would be a re-roll. Did that flip one over?
No, there was one. Roll that again. That was.
Okay. So axes, everything's going to wound on 3s. The red dice are going to be -3. The blue dice are going to be -4. Sorry, everything's going to be wound on 2s, not 3s, because it's strength 6 and strength 8. So everything's on 2s.
That's not good.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 at -3, and then 2, 4, 6, 10 at -4.
That's
You might have saved some.
No.
The 10 at -4 would have killed 10 outright. You get
How can I save
anything?
anything? I saved before.
Oh, you can't save anything.
Yeah, that's
beautiful,
right.
beautiful, beautiful.
So yeah, a very good round of combat. You can see now, command barge top left is gone. The Necron warriors bottom left are gone. You saw the clip of the Sanguinary Guard delete the Necron warriors in the bottom right. I hold the middle as well, so now for my final turn I will be on at least 4 objectives. So that should finally get me some points. And he does still obsec that top right hand one. But the Necron warriors are in close combat with the tank, so his options here are, like, I guess, crazy limited. It's really just those Necron warriors. He has that character hiding in the top right behind the building. You can't see it right now, but it is there. And then he has the Nightbringer down here, which is, it's too far away to really do too much for me to worry about. So I guess at this point I'm thinking the tactic that I picked at the start of the game to be very, very defensive and never let those Necrons, the group of 20 Necron warriors, or the 4 squads of 20 Necron warriors, never let them be within 12 to shoot off their strength 5 -2 40 shots, has kind of paid off. However, the question is, has it paid off too late? Because as you see for the score, I was down by 19 VP at this point. So, as my turn comes to an end though, it was a very successful turn. We did defeat a lot of things, and I killed a vehicle. I have a unit in the middle of the map. I didn't fail a morale test, so we are going to get 4 from Oath at the end of the battle round. We are also in all fronts, so we get another 3 for that. We did also assassinate his command barge and another character, so we pick up some points there. So things are looking up a little bit. It's a 10-point game now, with the Necrons going into turn 4, but he can't score anything on his primaries, because in this map you need to hold 2 primaries for 5. He can't really score his ancient machineries anymore, because he needed one of the 3 objectives, top right, middle, or bottom right, which he doesn't control, and he doesn't have anyone around for strategic scan, and then he's not even going to be able to score all fronts because the character teleported into the same quadrant as those few Necron warriors up there. So my tactic has definitely paid off at this point. Like, he is stalled out on his scoring big time, and I still have a bit of scoring to do, 10 points behind, mind you. But I think throughout the course of the battle, he got to shoot a full squad of Necron warriors twice. So if you think about it, he had 4 squads for 5 turns, so potentially he could have shot the loadout 20 times. I managed to limit that to him only shooting a 10th of his potential firepower. He managed to unload 1 full squad into the Vanguard vets, and then it was 1 full squad into the Assault Intercessors in the middle of the map, tying up in combat, forcing him into fall back, and then really using the fact that he only has a 12-inch range against him was my strategy. So in his turn, all he really could do was move. So his Necrons fell back out of combat with the super heavy tank, and they are running down the way to potentially get him an all-front score. The problem is they're running into a 6-man squad of Sanguinary Guard with Dante, and I mean, they just deleted a 20-man squad, so a remnant of 5 or 6 of them aren't going to be that big a deal. He did, I believe, auto-pass his morale on that one, though, because they had lost 11 in 1 turn. And then the Nightbringer had to advance from the back of the board, and by advancing, it obviously can't charge, it can't do any Catan powers. So the Nightbringer is close to the Death Company, but nothing that I really need to worry about. I mean, like, maybe, even if I lose the Death Company here, I don't foresee it being too much of a problem, and I do still have some CP. You can see my dice balanced on that Necron Monolith, so we could play Refusal to Die if he's going to hit me with those mortal wounds. So, in turn 4, the Necrons, like I said, they are completely stalled. He scores nothing. So yeah, the swing in this game is starting to happen for sure. And, I mean, I still wasn't confident. Like, I felt like I played the game very well at this point. I felt like my losses overall were very minimal across the board. Like, we've lost a squad of Vanguard veterans. We've lost maybe like 3 infiltrators. We've lost 1 Death Company model and 2 Sanguinary Guard. So, I mean, we've only lost like maybe tops 500 points. So that, tactically, I was feeling very happy about this. What I wasn't feeling confident about was where we stood on VP. But as we move into turn 5 then, I did get my 4 from last turn for the Oath of Moment that came in at the end of the turn. So now it makes a 6-point game. And there isn't a whole lot for me to do here. Like, essentially, I just need to maybe shore up some of the objectives. What I decided to do was to use the Sanguinary Guard to finish off that 1 unit of Necron Warriors. I mean, potentially I could have just shot them with the heavy tank or charged them, but yeah, I mean, I finished them off with the Sanguinary Guard. I moved the Tech Marine towards the middle, just to basically consolidate the middle. So I have all 5 objectives, and at the beginning of the turn, I had 4 objectives, so I did score my maximum 15 for primaries there. So that really puts me solidly in the lead. And then I am going to be able to score 3 points again from Oath. I am going to be able to score all fronts again. Obviously, with Assassinate, I mean, I could have charged the Nightbringer, but I didn't think my Death Company would. I mean, the Death Company couldn't kill him. I didn't think they were going to, but I mean, they could potentially only do 3 wounds to him. I could have shot him, I suppose, with a super heavy tank and maybe done 6 wounds to him, but there was no way for me to kill him. So I was quite happy to just leave the Death Company on that objective and finish up the turn with 46 points. And then potentially getting 3 more again if I continue to hold the middle and if I continue to not fail a leadership test. So that felt fine. That was the best I was going to be able to do. And then in turn 5 for the Necron, I mean, there was nothing for him to do. All he could have potentially done is killed the Death Company with the Nightbringer, but he decided to just call the game there, and it was over. The most he could do was deny me a single point.
Now, I have fought some variants on this Necron list, like with the command barges that have basically their equivalent of transhuman, it's the void shielding, where you can only wound them on rolls of 4+, and I feel like maybe if there had been a few more of those transports, this list would have actually been stronger. I used the fact that he only had 12 inches against him with my deployment, and I guess with my general positioning in those first 2 turns. However, there was definitely a risk to this strategy in that if I didn't kill enough or whittle enough down in those first turns of shooting and playing very defensively, then it might not have gone my way into the late game. I was second guessing the strategy as well, as I mentioned a few times throughout the video. Sometimes, like, you can do a strategy like this, and like I said throughout the video, at the end of the game, I hadn't lost a huge amount of units, but I did have to give away a lot of victory points in the early game. So I guess there is a fine line to be walked if you are going to do something like this, but it does prove that there is, if people ask you how you beat Necrons depending on what or how they're set up, then this is definitely a tactic you can use if they are going to run lots and lots of warriors and have those Gauss Reaper cannons. I could have actually focused my fire a lot more in this battle and tried to get rid of individual squads of Necron warriors as well, but he did have resurrection orbs and he did use them. So the thing about the resurrection orbs is, like, if you are focusing everything into one and then he blows a resurrection orb on it, it can come back and sort of haunt you. So my thoughts with my shooting was like, let's just pepper everything and get it down to a point where, like, when I do get into close combat, because there will be a turn that I get my units into close combat, I will do the damage I need to do. And although I am thinking, and I have talked on my channel about dropping my assault intercessors to take incursors, which might have actually helped me in this battle in terms of, like, some more forward deployment, but there was a distinct lack of cover on this map around the objective, so I guess you have to factor that in. But I think a key moment in the turn 3 was that those assault intercessors used Honor of the Chapter very strategically to just finish off a unit of Necron warriors, and yeah, I mean, that was sort of like a turning point in that I held the middle, because obviously with all those Necrons being objective skewered, normally you wouldn't hold the middle, so or you wouldn't hold the objective with them having that many. So a key play on Honor the Chapter, and then even though the Dante and the Sanguinary Guard failed their charges, we still managed to recover. And also, I mean, I guess we just didn't leave many options for the Nightbringer to join the battle, and when he did join the battle, I mean, he kicked out some mortal wounds, and then that was really all he could do. Obviously enemies may start the Nightbringer on the battlefield. If they do, then I guess our answer for that would be to definitely shoot it. Try and get 3 wounds off it in the turn that you want to kill it, so then you can shoot it for another 3 and charge it, right? And I guess if careful positioning of a Psyker to use Smite, or potentially some other psychic power like Blood Lance, I guess you could take, or something else where you can actually just deal mortal wounds at a target, would also help against the Nightbringer. I didn't have a set strategy for dealing with the Nightbringer in this game. I figured he was probably going to reserve it, because if I ever got the chance to shoot it, he knew that I would be shooting it. And I deployed so defensively that probably I would have been able to shoot it a couple of times before it got into me, dependent, I guess. But in hindsight, I mean, I think Andrew felt like he probably shouldn't have reserved it, or if he did reserve it, bring it in at least one turn earlier so it could do a bit more. And yeah, I think the last thing to say is about, like, I fought battles now against these C'tans, and I've also fought against an army list that had 2 C'tans in it. And, you know, sometimes you see those big bads and you just want to drop in your Terminators next to it and take them out, or whatever unit is you've designated, this unit is going to kill that unit, so the battle starts. And then that's what you do. Sometimes, though, on this map, you know, similar to the map that we showed against the Death Guard maybe like 2 weeks ago now, I ended the game with a unit of troops on every objective on the battlefield, right? And, like, I mean, there's something to be said that, like, maybe I didn't kill everything, and, like, maybe Mortarion came in that last battle and, like, did some serious work, but if Mortarion is, like, killing something that is going to score a few victory points, and you have a troop unit on every objective on the map scoring you 15 points, then, right, surely you can give up those few points that Mortarion does damage-wise and take those 15 points. And in the Death Guard game a couple of weeks ago, we hit 89 out of 90. We certainly didn't do that today, but we did grind out the win in a very difficult game. So, thank you very much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this battle report, and again, I hope you enjoyed the condensed format. I will see you very, very soon for the next tactics video, and yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. Alright, until next time, brothers, by the blood are we made. Peace.